How's it going, everyone? My name is Primacon. Welcome to Hollow Knight Silksong. Today I have a special video planned for you guys. If you're new to the channel, I recently beat Hollow Knight Silksong, True Ending, and the final boss was honestly a lot of fun to fight. And what I have decided is I'm gonna try to beat that boss with every single crest in the game. All 7 of them from easiest to the hardest. Either way, I think it'll be interesting, and if you end up enjoying the video, do hit the subscribe button to support the channel and the content. Alright, jumping right in with our very first attempt with the Hunter Crest. Now, many people might argue that Wanderer is easier than the Hunter, but I am ranking these based on how comfortable I am with a certain crest. So, for example, I used the Hunter Crest to beat Lace in my Let's Play, and that's what I'm going to be starting with, as that's the easiest for me. And as the video progresses, it's going to just get harder and harder because there's a couple of crests here that I have never equipped at all in my entire Let's Play, and I don't even know how they work. Some of them really confuse me. Starting with getting bonked in the head with the Mike Tyson upper kick. Honestly, one of the most devastating attacks that this boss does. Most of these attacks are very readable, except that one. That comes out really fast, the little 3 swings. And here she goes for the parry, and we immediately jump on the other side and do some damage. That's a thing that I'm going to repeat multiple times in this boss fight, is bait out the parries. It's actually much better for me to just hit them and go on the other side. Bonking our head there. That parry is harder, obviously, because that allows you to do no damage to her, at least not for my skill level. I'm gonna grab our cocoon here real quick and get our healing just interrupted, looking super thrilled about that maneuver. But then again, this is just the first fight of the day, and it's all about me warming up. And warming up is necessary because we just stop here, like our brain just decided to buffer for 2 seconds too long, and walking into Lace very gracefully. As you can see, this is going great, and I am no Fireborn, which is what makes this video exciting. And regardless of that sloppy display of performance, we somehow managed to get to the final phase. Alright, that went a little sloppier than expected. I forgot to use my tools, not gonna lie. I should use them now. That's right, Primacon, you should use your tools and maybe play a little bit better and don't take stupid damage. Anyway, dodging the obstacles now, making use of the wall. As you can see, they actually go down as they get closer to the wall. So if you're having trouble jumping over them and you keep messing it up, just run all the way to the opposite side and it'll be low enough that you can just easily maneuver over it. Lace jumps out there from the void like the Kool-Aid man, and we just put our Flint Slate and wail into her. Flint Slate is honestly one of the best tools in the game, and you should definitely be using it. Now this phase, it goes from a 7 to an 11 really fast, as her attacks, they just get so numerous in numbers. She can do so many things, including this one, which if you get hit by that, that's a whopping 3 damage. But right now we're looking good. We're at full health, not anymore, but this looks very winnable. But soon you will see just how fast, right, this phase can go completely downhill, and you can never let your guard down, especially if you play as bad as I do, as here we just make a complete fool of ourselves and just forget to jump twice in a row from full health to 2, and then we run into it and end it all ourselves. Ah, that was really unfortunate. I pressed double jump and then it just didn't register, and that kind of threw me off my whole rhythm. Sure, Primacon, sure, it didn't register. You definitely pressed it though, right? And while we're at it, let's also blame the internet connection and lag and ping. And obviously, Lace is smurfing, playing way below her elo. Anyway, we're gonna be jumping into our attempt number 2, and this one just goes so much better. As you can see, dodging the parry, the mid-air parry. Not being able to dodge the 3 strikes still, but again, that's the only one that I get consistently hit by, and I'm able to dodge pretty much everything else if I really put my heart into it. And that's one of the criteria that we're going to be judging this whole video by, is how many attempts is it taking me to beat this boss per crest. Now, obviously, that's the reason I'm doing it from perceived easiest difficulty to the perceived hardest difficulty, because the more attempts we put in and the more we play, naturally, the more your skill level increases with the boss fight. Clearly not the case here with me, as I completely face tanked that last few seconds. We're gonna skip ahead a little bit into the attempt 2, and here I completely forgot that I had the dice tool equipped, because this is the first time that thing triggered in instances of like 100 damage. The worst dice luck possibly imaginable. I just realized I had the dice equipped, and this is the first time that thing is activated in these 2 attempts. That's the unluckiest dice probability you can have. Oh my god. Incredibly unlucky indeed, because that thing is meant to act as Carefree Melody, and I'm just now realizing that it didn't activate a single time in our very first attempt, and I have not switched up my tools, which I will go over after we beat this boss, because who knows, maybe 2 attempts is all it will take. That's called foreshadowing, kids. Anyway, back at it with the Kool-Aid Man and Flint Slade. This time we're gonna play a little bit better, putting in a lot of damage every chance we get, but not going overboard and dodging all the attacks as well. As you can see, still at full health, not face tanking, not taking silly damage, dodging the triple attack, minding the follow-up, again going back on our Flint Slate. And here is where I start to go a little bit more aggressive and reckless, because I am now realizing that this boss has very little health left, but I might have judged it too bad, because boom, got hit in the face with the triple attack. That's actually the first time I've gotten hit with that attack and seeing that animation, so that's pretty cool to know. And even though I get sucked into the meat grinder, at this point, I know that I've got this in the bag. I have too much health remaining. The boss, not so much. There we go. That's the first time I've actually been hit by, that attack. Second attempt, not bad. But it's only gonna get harder from here. Also turns out there's no way to skip cutscenes in Silksong, because I've never attempted to do that before. I think next time when I beat Lace, instead of picking her up and shooting up, I'm just gonna save quit. Otherwise I'd have to sit through this 7 times. Going with the setup next, let's see how different it is with a different crest. Diving it now with Wanderer Crest. This is our first attempt with that. Now, if you looked at my tools before, you would notice that my layout is very centered around healing, because that's the kind of playstyle I'm going with this boss fight, where if I go high up in the air, I can heal 4 instances of damage at once, and this will allow me to basically make a lot of mistakes but then recover as well, and then as long as I don't play too bad, I'll be able to beat the boss. But you will see soon enough that that strategy is gonna come bite me in the ass when healing becomes a problem. Not just healing alone, but healing in mid-air as well, which is a big part of my strategy. But anyway, now with Wanderer Crest, immediately as I start, I play horrible. But regardless of my subpar performance, I am immediately realizing just how broken the Wanderer Crest is. This is the crest that's by far the most overpowered. In fact, the first time I equipped this crest in the game, my only drawback about it was the short range, which gets completely negated by the long claw tool. So despite having the lowest per needle swing damage in the game per crest, the DPS you're able to put out is just so insanely overpowered in my opinion, because of the amount of hits you can dish out in a small amount of time. And you don't even have to play smart, you can just face tank, because it'll give you so much silk that all the face tanking can be easily healed away by the multi-binder tool like I did right now. And this is basically the no consequence, turn your brain off, wail at the boss, play horrible, and still somehow manage to pull a victory out of your ass crest, as I like to call it. The most broken crest by a long shot. That was sloppy, man. Not good. I don't know if I can do this first try. And my sloppy gameplay is just a further proof on how utterly broken Wanderer Crest is, because I have 4 health right now and I've played miserable. But regardless of all that, spoilers alert, I will actually do this first try, and you will see in just a moment how overpowered this Wanderer Crest really is. Anyway, Lace is back for her final phase, and this is where we just absolutely destroy her. Just pay attention to the amount of hits I'm able to get on her whenever I get a chance. Right now I'm playing to heal, but now that I have a good amount of health, I am just gonna go all out offensive on her, because that is the power of Wanderer. Baiting her into a dive kick now and then just going at it. So many hits. You're able to just melt the boss to oblivion, and whatever damage you take can easily be healed because you farm so much silk as you're wailing into her. As you can see right now, I'm losing a bunch of health, and it'll make no difference as I'm able to easily just heal it all back up. Again, the multi-bind tool coming in clutch. She's doing her final meat grinder move, which comes out super fast if you're not ready for it. I keep getting caught in that almost every time. And now we're gonna activate our flint slate and just go melt her. The last remaining chunks of health withering away as she desperately tries to cling on to life. And this layout in the hands of a much better player than me would beat her so fast, which is why this crest is the go-to choice for boss speedruns in Silksong, because it allows you to just melt them. Look at that, how much damage I did. And dice activating once again, reminding us that it exists. It hasn't activated much at all in my playthrough. Worst die luck in the world. And finally, bringing it home. Wow, I actually managed first try. We recovered pretty well there at the end. Again, the power of the Wanderer showing through. One of the most overpowered crests in the game. This time, I'm just gonna... because it took a solid 5 minutes to go through all that. Very good though, better than expected. Going with Architect next because it's just considered to be a powerful crest all around the internet. I don't have much experience with it, but I feel like with the remaining crest, this ought to be the easiest one. It doesn't have a silk ability, but I don't use these abilities in the lace fight anyway, because I'm not good enough. So we'll see what we can make happen here. This moveset is gonna be very weird for me because, again, I'm not used to it. I think, to be honest, Reaper might have been easier for me to do than Architect, but we'll see what happens. This is gonna be where it gets really hard. Architect Crest. It's a crest that was on top of everyone's crest ranking videos when Silksong had just came out and the first videos were starting to come out. I have no experience with it. I tried it one time for like 60 seconds and then decided the moveset was not for me, even though it allowed me to use a lot of tools. But we'll see how it feels in the boss fight, and immediately I am taken aback by how clunky it felt compared to the Wanderer. So I decided to play a little bit defensive than I usually would in the very first phase, where I am just taking for opportunities to get 1 or 2 hits in, and then I'm playing very safe, baiting out the up kick, and then jumping across, hitting the parry, avoiding the double dash into the upper kick move, which, by the way, I figured out how to bait almost every single time. Took some damage there, but I'm able to heal it, which, again, healing hasn't been a problem so far into the video, but that's about to change very soon. Now, this crest, one of its greatest strength is the charge attack, where you hold the attack button and Hornet does her big move. Sadly, this boss fight doesn't leave a lot of opportunities for that attack to be used, and I am not even using the correct tool for it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I should have probably equipped the Pin Master tool and went for those charge attacks every time you stagger Lace. And I could have made this boss fight much easier on myself if I had actually used the Architect Crest the way it's meant to be used, rather than just forcing my own playstyle on it. Anyway, dice activation, clutch moment, and we managed to scrape by with a full health bar. Interesting. It has a much longer reach than I thought it would, especially with Long Claw. But I know its big power comes from the needle charge ability, but there's just not enough opportunities for me to use that. So I'm more comfortable just playing normally. And I know the big power of Architect is tools, but we'll see how it goes. See, we will indeed. Will the gods grace us with good luck once again and allow us to beat this first try one more time? I guess only time will tell. We put our flint slate on and make all these hits count, because they come out half as fast as the Wanderer at this point, but I still try to make it count as much as I possibly can. Again, at this point, I'm thinking maybe I should be using some of those tools that this crest is known for, so I throw out some thumbtacks in a half-ass attempt, and then realize that it throws my rhythm off way more than it helps, so I just stick to the good old classic pressing the attack button in front of the boss technique that were taught to us by the gods. Halfway through the third phase at this point, as indicative by the second meat grinder move that she pulls out. It's a good sign that your fight is going pretty well. And thinking back at this, I should have been using my Flea Juice tool even more than I did, because if I am gonna stick to my original playstyle, I should cater more to it by making my attacks come out faster, as clearly that's the strategy I'm going for, which is, again, not Architect's strength, but it didn't matter in the end, and we actually managed to get it first try. Even though I did this first try, it was definitely way more challenging than the Hunter or the Wanderer because I was just not comfortable with this moveset at all. It felt kind of clunky to use. But we made it happen. That's 3 out of 7 down. Somehow, this feels clunkier than the Architect. I have not used this crest in a while. In a while indeed, as we jump into our very first attempt with the Reaper crest, which, if you were watching my Silksong Let's Play, you know that I stuck to this crest for pretty much the first half of the game, because I just felt so comfortable with having all those tool slots when the others were locked behind memory lockets, and I played the game with this crest for pretty much till halfway Act 2, until I got enough memory lockets to upgrade my other crests and finally stop using the Reaper, because the Reaper is like the strength build in Dark Souls. You hit slow, your hits do more damage, and it's just not a playstyle that I have liked ever in my life, as I always go for Dex. And that's amplified further by just the kind of game Silksong is, where it's such a fast-paced action game. This does not feel good at all. Oh no. It does not, but we're gonna carry on anyway, and one thing you'll notice if you pay attention is how easy it is to parry with this crest. That's one thing I actually did not realize while playing Silksong for the first time. But now that I'm looking at this, look at that third parry without me paying any attention to it. I mean, this crest definitely has potential to be used in a parry playstyle, but that would require you to be smart and have brain cells, which I clearly lack. But parry galore continues, and dice also comes in clutch to save our neck. But regardless, the fight is not looking that good even after I'm doing all these parries and getting these silk balls out of lace, getting our very first stagger, but it just doesn't feel satisfying. It's just so slow. And as we said before, the reason that slowness bothers me is because Silksong feels very different than Hollow Knight, and Reaper is a crest that feels like something that would suit the Knight more than Hornet, to be honest, because as you know, you can heal mid-air, claw harpoon around, dash, run. The game is just built around speed, so the Reaper never really felt good to me. But either way, we're doing pretty okay so far, getting a stagger again on Lace, healing to full health. Silk is in no short supply thanks to the bind ability of the Silk Balls, which, I mean, it is a little bit distracting sometimes to collect those, but it's okay. We managed to get to the last phase somehow, unscathed and full health. But that was the easy part. Now as we enter the last phase of the boss fight where things go really hectic, will Reaper give us a problem, or will we be able to get another first try victory? Another interesting thing to note is that even though these crests are made to follow a certain kind of playstyle, you can still force any crest to be of any playstyle. Like example, drinking the flea juice to make your Reaper attacks come faster if you feel like you're missing some dexterity. Or using Long Claw with Wanderer if you feel like it's missing some range. Again, I like that Team Cherry is promoting an amplitude of playstyles and it's not just one beats all. Like, I find Wanderer OP, but someone else might find Reaper OP due to its insane parry potential. Here we corner Lace and just wail at her with our heavy hits, and the Silk Balls again just allowing us to stay topped up, and the Flea Juice allowing us to have a little bit more DPS. Including the Flint Slate on top of the insane amount of damage that Reaper does to begin with. We managed to get to the halfway point of phase 3 as Lace does her mid-meat grinder attacks, which we barely dodge. Will we be able to dodge the second one? Yes, we will, because we are not that stupid. And in the final stim of this boss fight, we're gonna go throw caution to the fucking wind and just corner Lace, throw all our health concerns to the side because we got good health insurance, dodge that triple damage move barely. And as you can probably tell already, boss fight taking much longer than it did with Wanderer. And even though we are able to punish Lace for her sins in, again, first try, it just doesn't feel something super satisfying to accomplish. That was awful. Miserable. Would not recommend. Next I'm going Witch, even though I have not played the game with the Witch Crest at all if you were following along my Let's Play, just because even though I know Beast, this is going to be one of the hardest things to do, so I'm leaving it for the last or the second last, so Witch is going to have to come next. I have extra blue slot for this one, so I'm just going for extra protection, not really sure what else to put there, and this kind of feels similar to the Hunter, so maybe it's going to be better than the Reaper. Now, up until this point in the video, if you felt like everything has been a cakewalk and you came here to watch me struggle and cry in shambles, this is your moment, because it will indeed not be a cakewalk, and which crest is gonna turn out to be the bane of my existence. Now, mind you, this is the first time I'm ever using this crest ever, and with the way this boss fight is gonna turn out, probably the last. Because attacking with this crest was akin to swinging a wet noodle at the enemy. It did not feel good at all, and now I'm about to find out the biggest downside of this crest for me right now. What? Wait, I don't know how this heals. Does this crest not heal? Oh no. It indeed does heal, and it also does damage to the boss while healing, but the biggest downside of that is you need to be in extreme close proximity to the boss while you do it, and if you miss, your silk goes to waste like that and you get no health back. My entire strategy relied upon those mid-air heals with the multi-binder, and now I'm realizing that that entire strategy is going down the drain alongside my hopes and dreams, and this boss fight is about to end very, very soon. I actually did manage to get a stagger, which is pretty surprising to be honest, but again, just healing out of habit so far away from the boss, and that's just not how this crest works. And at this time, I had no idea. There we have Lace gracefully launching me in the air and ending my miserable life. Okay, unexpected. Indeed. So I'm guessing this works like a life steal, where if I heal near enough the enemy, it'll like hurt Lace and give me some hearts, which is not ideal or good at all. Now foolishly, we jump into our attempt number 2 with the exact same tool layout, and not only am I not able to heal, all of a sudden, I'm not even able to hit the enemy at all, as my wet noodle swings miss completely there. And then in the moment of enlightenment, we figure it out. Right, that's how that works. Okay, but as you can see very quickly, just because you understand how something works in theory doesn't mean that you're able to execute it immediately. I am no god gamer. That's hard, man. And at this point, my naive little brain doesn't understand just how hard this is gonna be on me, because I rely on multi-healing way too much. And there we go, I managed to pull off a pretty substantial heal there, and now I'm thinking maybe I can bring this home in attempt number 2, but world isn't full of flowers and daisies, and quickly that health I regained withers away, and at this point it's actually really hard to avoid damage. I mean, that one was pretty easy to avoid, to be honest. I just ate shit there. Again, going for heal, and it's too far away. Whew. Okay, we're definitely gonna have to switch up our strategy on this one. Not gonna be working with the same things we have been. So I decided to substitute my multi-bind with Trobiometer, because that's another tool that if you heal in close proximity with an enemy, it does good damage. So I felt that it would have good synergy with this loadout. And going into attempt number 3, diving head first, let's see if that makes a difference at all. Skipping a little bit ahead into the fight, we can see that it does not, because A, I continue to take stupid damage like that, which absolutely doesn't need to, and B, changing up my strategy so drastically is no easy feat. There, however, I did manage to pull off a clutch heal, and as you can see, I have the warding bell as well, because I figured, why not? I'm gonna be healing so close to the enemy, might as well safeguard that little heal we get. Now, the way to play with this crest is absolutely going for those risky binds near Lace, but unfortunately it'll take me too long to realize that I'm just not good enough for that, and if I instead focused on just avoiding damage and hitting her with my wet noodle, it would have gone much better for me. But unfortunately, that revelation is yet to come, and for now we continue to eat shit, and I continue to heal very, very conservatively out of the fear of missing, and end up missing anyway because of that. Which brings attempt number 3 to a very sad and fitting end. That was a little bit better. Put on warding bell here because I'm gonna be healing very close to her a lot of the times, but I think the better strategy is to just avoid damage and only heal when either she's staggered or you know for sure you're not gonna get hit. Well, moving on to attempt number 4, you're gonna see the drawback of playing it too safe. Dice saves our ass right there, but I'm still playing to avoid damage as much as possible, but in return, that also means that I'm barely able to hit Lace at all. And yeah, I can play like this, maybe drag the boss fight out for 10 minutes, but even if I wanted to, I don't think I'll outlast the eventual damage, and then again, missing the heal one more time. It'll still clearly take me a while before I get used to that distance and try to figure out when it is ideal to heal in this situation. And as we move ahead into the boss fight, you'll see that the gears in my brain will start to turn as I figure out that there are certain moves, like that parry, where I can just heal right next to it. Got to the second phase somehow. I'm getting better at timing those heals around the attacks where she stays still, which I believe is the key. Alongside with just avoiding damage altogether and playing it very slow. Unfortunately, the victory of getting to the next phase is not gonna last very long, as Lace proceeds to come at me like I owed her rent money, and she's gonna take away any little hope I had of taking this fight any further, and ending it all in a very swift, quick 10 seconds. Maybe Lifeblood is the way to go, as a substitute to healing. We'll try it out. As we proceed to dive headfirst into attempt number 5, we think if healing is the problem, then what if we had so much health that we could damage tank our way to victory? Well, sounds very nice in theory. Let's see if it works out the same in practice. See, I can't heal now. It would be the perfect time to heal, but I could do this. So as a way to preserve our shell shards, because they are limited, I decide that the only time I'm gonna use Lifeblood is when I manage to get to the last phase successfully. So during her meat grinder attack, we juice up completely. Well, not completely, I could have juiced up one more time. There we go. Now we have a lot of health. Unfortunately, our main health bar is completely missing. But in practice, if we play slow and are able to get to this phase more or less unscathed and then juice up with Lifeblood, that should, in theory, accommodate for our subpar healing ability. But quickly, the Lifeblood disappears in this attempt because, again, I am trash at avoiding damage. All of a sudden, we completely forget how to play the video game, missing that heal royally by a mile. And I mean, not much more to say here. We're clinging by the thread of our life right now. Somehow we actually managed to get the second meat grinder attack, which is really surprising considering how awful this has been, but it wasn't gonna last. Of course, that was too good to be true, but that was the best attempt so far. These Lifeblood actually seems like the way to go. Next attempt, we actually managed to get to phase 3 with a bunch of health. Look at how much health we have, right? And you might think that this might be it, where we finally achieve victory, but just wait and watch how fast, even after that dice trigger, this entire advantage goes down the drain. And at this point, it's not even because of the Witch Crest or the healing, it's just I've forgotten how to play the video game. And I think that's also because I've been playing for so long by now that I'm starting to get tired. That advantage fell apart so fast. Oh my, and I'm running out of shell shards at an alarming rate. Jumping into the next attempt, you'll see that it's not just me who's starting to get tired, but apparently my controller is deciding to give out as well, as all of a sudden, my bind button becomes so unresponsive that it's not even funny. If you see in this boss fight, there are moments where I just stand very still or I barely move to dodge. It's because I'm actually pressing bind and it's not doing it. Like right there, I pressed bind and it didn't do anything. And right here, I pressed bind again, it didn't do anything. And I'm starting to get really frustrated by this controller. And at that point, all the logic goes out the window, my concentration breaks, and I just completely get destroyed. Even now, my jump button didn't work there. And again here, my double jump didn't work. And now, at this point, as the last resort, I just want to chuck my controller at Lace to do the ultimate damage. But unfortunately, the technology hasn't been invented yet to physically intervene in your video game. So, we're gonna just continue to suffer and live out our miserable life till Lace ends it all. That was going well. I'm not making excuses, I swear. Sometimes, when you see me just stand still on the screen, I press the bind button, and then nothing happens, man. Oh, I don't know why that is happening. And it gets worse, as in the next attempt my controller just completely decides to give up on me in every way imaginable, and Lace takes advantage and absolutely destroys me because I'm not moving forward when I want to, not jumping when I want to, not dashing when I want to, and all the, like, my face right there says it all. Dude, this controller is... wow, what is happening, man? It's so unresponsive. Got my spare controller this time, so I'm out of excuses if I eat shit. But let's see if it makes a difference. Maybe it was my controller being mushy. This felt very unresponsive on the buttons. As we jump on into this attempt, immediately I feel a lot better controlling Hornet, being able to dodge these attacks like I was able to, and only eating damage when my brain decides to stop working, not my controller. Now, in this attempt, I learned a big secret formula to using this Crest, and I learned my biggest mistake, which is not healing enough. I was playing so conservative with my heal and being afraid that I'll miss it, that I was doing it all wrong. In fact, if I did the opposite of that and healed every chance I get and tried to be super aggressive with my heals, it would have gone better, and I am soon about to learn how to do that. As we stagger her, taking full advantage of the witch heal, we're gonna hit her a bunch of times, and then immediately, as soon as we have the silk for it, go for another heal right behind her. And at this point I'm thinking, wait a minute, maybe that's the key to go. So we get our cocoon back and heal again immediately. That's the third heal, and stagger her with so much more ease than ever before. Was a lot more aggressive with my healing this time. I think I was playing way too safe with when to heal. Now, with that brand new revelation enlightened to us and having a full health bar, the fullest health bar possible in this game, so many mask shards, will it make a difference? Will this finally be the attempt where we bring it home? Well, let's find out as we dodge these big meat grinder attacks this time easily because our controller works, like I said. And the Kool-Aid Man pops out for round number I don't even know anymore. We put on our flint slate and try to give some more power to our wet noodle, immediately taking some dice damage. So even dice is on our side. This couldn't be more better in our favor. But will we win or throw it all away? As Lace dives down, we are again trying to hit her, but just beyond our reach. We don't have our long claw anymore. Jumping up against her, avoid tentacle attacks, hit her as much as possible. Now we're losing all the lifeblood we had, but that's okay. I still have all my health with me. Even now, I can heal it back up. There's only 3 damage remaining. The biggest problem is I can't heal during the meat grinder attack. Instead, I end up taking damage, and right here, I should have healed instead of hitting her with my flint slate. That was my big mistake, and that mistake, unfortunately, is gonna cascade like a bunch of bad dominoes as we actually are able to dodge pretty much all these attacks in succession, but not able to dish out any damage in return, which, you know, is always a bad idea, as we miss that last heal. And even though this attempt falls apart like a house of cards, it does feel much, much better. That was the best attempt so far. I felt like I didn't reach there by luck at all. The problem is I'm pretty much out of my shell shards now, which, again, what a dumb mechanic that I have to grind to just be able to attempt the boss the same way again and again. But now we know that if we play a little bit more aggressive with our healing, the results will be better. Will the results actually be better? Well, let's find out as we jump into attempt number 14. That's right, it has taken more attempts than every other combined, which Crest really making me work hard for it. But now we are armed with not only experience but newfound knowledge of aggressive healing. Let's see if we can put it to work as Lace dashes across 2 times into uppercut combo. We have not a lot of attempts ahead of us if we fail now, because I really am in no mood to go grind shell shards, but this lifeblood tool has been working out so well for me that I don't know if I want to give it up and do another tool build. Here, healing hitting her hard, that does a lot of damage actually if you get it dead on, especially with Trobio's tool right next to it. That's our bread and butter in this fight. Again, I'm trying not to lose too much health, hitting her again with a big heal that just feels really satisfying when you get it right. But like we said, trying not to lose too much health before the final phase. Third healing hit, stagger going pretty well so far. If I can heal once more, I'll be at full health right before she staggers again, but unfortunately we take double damage. We're able to heal back 3 more before we get into the final stage. Now, alongside our lifeblood, yes, we're missing 2 health, but that went pretty good. In fact, that went substantially better than any other attempt in the past. So now I'm thinking this has to be the one. In fact, at this point, I am not feeling scared. I'm feeling pretty confident. And there's a big flame lit right under my ass of not wanting to grind shell shards at all. So I know in my heart that I want to and I need to bring it home at this point. We powered up with Flint Slate and immediately go on the offensive, getting a couple of good hits in, but at this point again, I am very aware of how strong that healing ability damages Lace, especially with the Trobio tool. I'm dodging her missiles pretty well now. I finally figured out how to do that. You just run away and they're pretty slow homing missiles, so it's easy to dodge them. We corner her and lay in a bunch of good hits, dodge the 3-hit attack, and Dice saves us from the follow-up. So very lucky, almost full health at this point, even though our lifeblood is gone. We're missing 3. Can we get a good heal in? Unfortunately not, as she disappears for her meat grinder attack, but again, seeing the meat grinder is a pretty good sign. It means that half of her health is gone now in phase 3. She goes for the 3-hit combo again. We dodge the follow-up by jumping in the air. Our offense clearly lacking as we miss a bunch of hits with our short little noodle, but our dodging is pretty spot on. So not all hope is lost. Again, I go too greedy there. I should have dodged the homing missiles. We will dodge the triple hit minus the follow-up, but it won't matter because we get her in a pretty good spot, putting in 3 hits and a bind, bringing it home. Oh my lord! Finally! Hoo-wee! What a crazy difficulty jump! From the first 3-4 Crest to this, that was insanely hard. I think once I understood that I could actually heal more aggressively, it helped me a lot because then I could use my Trobio's mirror to its full potential and all the other tools that I had equipped to their full potential. Sadly ran out of shell shards while attempting these, but we did it, man. We did it. Now that I know the importance of healing, I think Beast will be the most difficult. So I'm gonna do Shaman first because for all I know that Shaman just heals normally. And even though I'm lacking a lot of my tools, I don't have shell shards to begin with. And I don't rely on red tools too much anyway. So this might be way more easier than even the Witch actually, but we'll find out. As we jump into our very first attempt with the Shaman Crest again, the first time I have ever equipped this, I will find out soon enough that no, the healing in fact is not normal in Shaman, and the healing curse is gonna come to bite me in the ass one more time as we try to get used to these weird wave attacks. What a weird crest. I might be able to heal, but this is the opposite challenge of... Wait, what was that healing? I have never used this crest before, so I'm not really sure. I thought it healed normally. Yeah, put those thoughts back in the closet, mate, because it does not indeed heal normally. In fact, it forces you to be on the ground when healing, which, if you've been paying attention, is detrimental to this boss fight. Somehow we're clinging on to 1 health, just barely, my wave not meeting Lace. I'm not really sure what distance to attack her at this point, but like I said, forcing us down on the ground to heal. What? That is very interesting. Why do I heal like that? Why indeed seems to be a very weird way to nerf the power of the Shaman, I suppose, because it does allow you to use 3 silk abilities, but as you know, I haven't used a single one in this entire video. Because this boss just happens to be one of those where I feel more comfortable just wailing my needle around. Unfortunately, that's double bad for me, as this Crest's main power comes from the silk abilities doing more damage, and I don't use them, and I need to heal mid-air. I know I played badly, but how do you heal with this crest? So I guess this crest has a weird gimmick of not being able to heal mid-air, which is also pretty challenging because every single heal I do in this boss fight is definitely mid-air, so we're gonna have to adapt, as always. Now, jumping into attempt number 3, actually, skipping the second one because it doesn't matter, there's also one more challenge with this crest, which is getting used to this weird attack, because it is very weird and not at all intuitive. Because it's a little bit hard to judge on how far you can be from her and still hit with your weird wave attack. Now, as you can see, I'm starting to use silk abilities for the first time in this boss fight, as I know that regardless of how uncomfortable I may be using those abilities with this boss, that is the way to go with this crest. I'm starting with the nails as those are the easiest ones to hit. It's pretty much auto-bot, and if you miss with that, then just delete the game, mate. You know, go play Stardew Valley at that point. But still doing pretty okay. Not as bad as the Witch Crest, even though we are struggling right now and haven't been able to go to the last phase. Here, again, I can heal, and I employ a brand new technique, which is running away and healing instead of jumping in the air and healing. That's the kind of resorts that I've been forced to sink down to, parrying Lace's dive, and this being only the third attempt with this crest, not using the silk abilities nearly enough, as I need to be pretty much spamming them every chance I get, because they do quite a bunch of damage. This is like Shaman Stone, but as a crest. Again, jumping up and healing, not ideal, and multi-bind, not ideal, as we're being forced to heal on the ground. Still not too used to using all these silk skills, but I know that this crest is based around them. I think your skills they do more damage. So I tried using the nails a little bit at the start. I'm gonna try to do more here. Or maybe I'll just play safe. Well, future Primacon can guarantee that playing safe is not the way to go with this crest. You basically want to spam your abilities, as they do a ton of damage. Right now, I don't have the best of them equipped, and I will change my skill loadout later on. But for now, we eat a kick to the face as we go into the last phase for the first time with this boss. My wave attack feeling absolutely miserable to use, as I'm relying on it way too much. I need to be using it as just a means of getting silk, so I can do damage with my abilities. But of course, Primacon of the past is a different creature, and he is dead. Or well, about to be pretty soon by the hand of this ferocious foe. Warning bell coming in clutch, delaying our inevitable demise, even Lace laughing at the prospect of us coming out victorious in this fight. I will say though, even though I'm using this crest absolutely wrong and playing miserable, I'm still almost to the end of the boss fight. This is nowhere near as bad as Witch Crest was. I don't know why. That crest is just not for me. It might be your favorite one and the easiest to use, but not for me. Either way, we are dead. That could have gone better, but also that didn't feel nearly as hard as the Witch one, so I think it's pretty doable. I can either play safe or go all out with my abilities. Actually, I'm gonna have a look at them. Oh, actually, I wanted to change the multi-bind too, because that seems to be more detrimental to me than helpful. If we fail, I'll change it next time. And I won't have to wait too long for next time, because I get absolutely destroyed in the next attempt, not even getting to the final phase. Clearly, tools need to be re-strategized here. And we will re-strategize as we replace our multi-binder with electric silk, again complementing what the crest is asking us to do. As we move into the last phase of this attempt, this actually goes pretty well. We're able to dodge all those attacks easily, and as we have silk, we can heal pretty well thanks to our warding well and lack of multi-binder. Again, we just proceed to dodge her, do some good damage here, but as you can see, this hits very slow as its main purpose is just to gather silk, and I am still not pressing that ability button nearly enough because I am scared of losing health and needing to heal. Playing very conservative. We reach the meat grinder in the middle phase of the last phase. That's confusing, I know, but we get enough silk now to heal, and again, I am not attacking, instead hoping to get a heal in, and it goes out the window as I take a bad hit, lose all my silk, and at this point the fight is slipping out of my clutches pretty fast, faster than I can keep up. 1 or 2 more hits and I'll be dead. Again, going for pretty bad heals. I should not have been healing, instead just going all out and trying to finish her before she finishes me off. But instead, again, I am in this delusion that I'll be able to recover my health, and that delusion carries me all the way to my nice and early grave. I guess early is the wrong term, because even though I'm not employing the right technique, I do manage to cling on to this one mask shot for dear life. Again, playing very conservative. I have silk now and I'm trying to run away far enough to heal, and it's just gonna cost me the entire run. All in all, bad strategy. Feel like I kinda threw that. Feel like if I played more aggressive there at the end, I could have actually won that one. Well, better late than never, as they say, and now that we know the knowledge, we know the technique, and we're not struggling nearly as enough as we did with the Witch Crest, this is actually very possible to win it this round. And let's see this round indeed, because it's gonna be very intense. So, dropping down phase 1, at this point, it's a pretty much piece of cake. Even if I don't play right with my silk abilities, I can get it down with just my weird wave attacks, but I will use my silk abilities just to get into the habit of it, and I'll use them as many times as I can. There, immediately opening with electric nails, follow up with more electric nails. I have switched up my abilities as well. If you notice, I have the spear, the dash, and the nails. I feel like those were the best ones. Initially, I was going with the parry, but like you see, I am nearly not good enough to react with a parry fast. So I am going with more easy to use silk abilities. And they're gonna come in clutch pretty much, as I managed to get to full health, bait out the parries, go behind, do damage. As soon as I have some silk, use it on abilities. I don't know why I'm not doing it right now. I should be able to. There we go, dashing through her. Very much playing for these abilities, looking for the perfect opportunity, which we find, and send her straight into the next phase. Now, this is where our fight fell apart last round, because we played very safe and tried to save our silk for healing. Not this time, as I dashed straight through Lace with my electric silk ability, and I'm gonna keep it up. As soon as I have some silk, I'm just gonna use it on offense instead of defense. Decided to contemplate my life there for a second, just standing still, thinking about the origins of the universe. Warding Bell coming in clutch there, saving our ass. Again, I have not gone full insane aggressive mode, as it's not late enough in the fight, but the more health I lose, you'll see, the more I decide to say fuck healing, and we're gonna go aggressive all out, try to finish her before she finishes us. Now, we get this final heal in. Warding Bell again carrying this fight through and through. And here we go. We go on the offensive, get a lot of hits in, wait for her to pop out, but she doesn't. Runs away like a coward, leaving us with the meat grinder. Am I about to take damage? No, barely dodged it. On with it now with the electric nails, hitting her once, going again as soon as I have some silk. Dodging the homing missiles, and again, just trying to find opportunities. I should have dashed through her there like that, but I don't know why I didn't do that sooner. I end up missing the second one. And pay attention to my health here. Yeah, baby! Not making the same mistake this time of trying to save enough silk to heal. I just went full aggressive. Barely played off. Ooh. One more down the bag. Now that was definitely, right, much easier than the witch one, in my opinion. Because at least you had damage, and you could still heal if you were just careful enough. And the Warding Bell just, you know, being super helpful in that kind of scenario, which was kind of miserable. But I feel like now we have the most miserable one in front of us, which is the final crest, the Beast Crest. No blue tool slots, no natural healing. This one's gonna be really rough. Oh, I've been dreading this one since I started the video, man. This one is gonna be rough, I feel. Even more rougher than the witch. Rougher than the witch? That's a pretty bold claim. At this point, I'm just really terrified of not having any blue tools whatsoever, because they are the best ones, and they have been carrying me through this boss, throughout these crests, and the beast moveset is actually one of my favorites, so that's a plus side, because I don't have to pogo, and that's probably the worst part about this crest, is the pogo. You know, at least this fight doesn't require any pogos. That's good. If I just play super safe that I'd never need to heal, I'll be fine, right? Absolutely wrong. Playing safe with Beast is an insult to the name, as the whole point is to go berserk. Hornet goes full-on rage mode, the screen goes red. None of this is telling you to play safe, Primacon. What are you talking about? You gotta hit that bind button and go all the way aggressive. In fact, not only does Beast gives you healing for face tanking when you press the bind button, it increases your damage. And this is what I've been saying since the start of Silksong, is Beast is the ultimate face tank crest, where you just keep spamming the bind and the hit button in the face of the boss instead of being a bitch. Now, attempt number 2 is pretty funny, because here, again, I hit one of those mental roadblocks where I just forget how to play the video game at all. You must be thinking it's going pretty good now, but just wait and see. Even the dice cannot save me from my incompetence at this point. I go into beast mode and absolutely waste it, just jumping around like a lunatic. I hit her like 3 times in that entire rage mode. Absolutely gobshite timing, but that's okay. We managed to get her into the phase 2 of her boss fight, but again, it's not gonna last because I'm playing so miserably bad. I guess I just am not used to the beast anymore, because I haven't played with this crest in hours. I did play it at the start of my Silksong playthrough a little bit, but yeah, that every hit you land just feels so satisfying with this crest. This crest just feels meaty. Meaty indeed. As we jump into our attempt number 3, will third time be the charm with Beast Crest? We're about to find out. But yeah, like I said, this crest does feel very meaty. Every hit feels so satisfying to land, and honestly, it baffled me that when the game came out, people were putting the Beast at the bottom of their crest tier list. I guess people just don't like to have fun, because that's how I would describe this crest, is ultimate, unadulterated fun. And I guess Lace is one of those haters too, because as soon as we enter beast mode, she says, no, not having any of it. Makes it so that we can't play the video game by stun locking us throughout our beast mode, and I have 1 health before I realize, wait, I had a cocoon way too late, and end up eating dirt. Now, attempt number 4 is late enough that I have remembered and opened my memory and third eye towards the power of the beast, and this is where we go full beast mode. She parries our beast car right here, but we hit her back, going into beast mode mid-air and then going full frenzy mode on her, getting in a bunch of good hits actually. I think there was 5 hits there. The thing with Beast is it's all about timing your Beast ability, and that's what separates a noob like me from a pro gamer like probably Fireborn. Because if you can time that thing right, you can get so much DPS in. Right here, we're gonna end up staggering Lace and get a couple of good hits in. But again, if I time that better, like right here, I should have gone beast mode, and that would have shredded her health pretty much. So yeah, like I said, all about timing. Again, this one, she backsteps us like Michael Jackson, pulling out all the fucking forbidden moves, making us look completely stupid. But the joke's on her, we were born stupid. Here we time the beast right, but get interrupted by her missile. Very well planned, but it wasn't enough as we finally get to the last phase. That actually didn't feel too bad, not gonna lie. I thought that would be much more miserable. Maybe Beast is a beast. Right then, dodging the meat grinders, we get into the final phase, immediately enter beast mode and go crazy. We land 3 good hits, but like she's playing super aggressive too. And it's at this point that I realized that beast mode in the final phase of Lace 3 boss fight is the most fun thing ever, because both of you are playing so aggressively, and it's not a dance anymore as it is a bloodlusted, gory fight to the finish where you're just clawing at each other, both going absolutely ham. We already got to the second meat grinder attack, and again, Beast just gives you so much more health than you think it does. There's absolutely no need to be scared. Again, I pop Flea Juice here. You'll see this tool go so well with Beast as we hit her like 10 times in the span of a second, and then again, we go Rage Mode, bad timing. If I could only time these Rage Modes better, it would be over by now, but it doesn't matter, because at this point, we have full health. We're not scared at all. We know she's at the back foot, dodging her tentacles, cornering her, and putting the fear of God in her, dodging the 3 attack, going beast mode, dodging the follow-up. Her missile's gonna interrupt our beast mode, but it doesn't matter because this crest is an absolute menace. Okay, wow. I was worried about nothing. Beast Crest is actually insane. I can't believe I've seen so many people on r/Silksong rate Beast as one of the worst crests in the game. Maybe they're just not playing the crest right, because this is the ultimate face tanking crest ever. So much damage potential. Well, on the note that this was the last one, I guess we'll take Lace out of it. And here we have our final score based on the number of attempts. Honestly, Hunter should have also taken just 1, but because I started with it, the first round just went to warming up. But either way, this is the result, which being the hardest for me by a long shot. That crest, I just cannot get my stupid brain around. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this silly video, and do hit the subscribe button and like and comment if you did. I will see you soon with a new one. Thank you for watching. Primacon signing out.